Hi everyone, my name is Nate Mickey, and for my Capstone project I chose Accenture. First we'll be going over the external environment of the industry and Accenture as a whole. Okay, so for the IT consulting industry, sorry, my mouse was over that. For the IT consulting industry, there are four main services that are typical: writing, code testing, software planning, and data. And that has changed around the 2000s. So the industry trends before the 2000s where there weren't that many consulting teams, third-party experts, because technology was not at the level it is today. They had, web monitoring to make sure that their website was running correctly. But around the 2000s, we saw a shift, and it was web development, AI, cloud computing. So there are many different factors that added to this trend, but I think it's important to note that consulting after the 2000s has been on a huge increase. As you can see, over 2.3 million employees in the US alone are in this industry, and it is expected to grow by 12% by 2025. So a little bit about Accenture's services. They have five main sectors under the IT consulting group, and that is strategy and consulting, song, tech, operations, and industry X, as well as their environmental factors. If you see their initiative is called Creating 360 Value. And this isn't about just the work and their output. It is around the sustainability, ethics, and integrity that the company produces. And I think it's something to note that it's not just the services of the work that they give to their clients. It's also how they do it, how they go about it, and also their company culture. Next, let's look into the rivals of Accenture. So if we see McKinsey & Company, their tech is their main service line, while they also touch media and commodities. So they also serve 80 of the top 100 US-based companies with a $10.5 billion revenue share. Deloitte, if you notice there, they have great elite clients as Morgan Stanley, Microsoft, and Boeing, with $9 billion in revenue. And if you take a look at IBM, they're a very household name. They've been around for over 100 years. They have in-house technology, 28% growth since 1992. They have been around longer than 1992, but what that number signifies is when they opened and founded their consulting practice. So only within around 20, 30 years, they were able to grow this company essentially from the ground up, but they also had the background of IBM as a tech company before that. So they have $5 billion in revenue. Now, if we look at the driving forces, so there are four here that are something to note within the consulting industry. First is digital transformation. So 2/3 of leaders think that companies have to digitize quicker to remain competitive. Now, when you digitize quicker, that is a go-to-market initiative. You have a plan, you have a strategy, but a lot of companies don't know how to implement that, to digitize it quicker, to beat other competitors within the market so you are first to that idea. Second is cost pressures. So when you have executive members and board members constantly competing for higher revenue, return on investment, you need to innovate quicker. So by adding AI, Internet of Things, to the Accenture portfolio, they were able to turn profits quicker and turn investor shares up. So shifting the ecosystem is the third option here for the driving forces, and this is basically from the old market demand to the new one. And we touched on that because around the 2000s it has switched. So if you look at that as a whole, a driving force to Accenture entering the market and specific client needs, they need to meet the new market demands. Rising in strategy demands from old consulting patterns. Deloitte and Accenture will rise due to the amount of employees. Now, by this, with the change in uptick of AI, Internet of Things, that takes a while for a company to develop. Accenture and Deloitte have so many employees, as Accenture has over 730,000. They can really make this a quicker process. They can get to the market quicker. They can offer their clients not rushed, but thought through and developed and researched products. Let's look at the Porter's five forces. So threat of new entrants is pretty low. Accenture holds over 730 employees and $60 billion in revenue. So if you think about it, a new company or a new consulting firm trying to enter this market is not only going to have a resource management issue, but a profit and capital issue, because if the money that Accenture is pulling in that they can reinvest the next year is just going to be more than a company starting up. If you look at the power of suppliers, it's high because there are not that many companies out there that can and hold services to consulting firms. For example, Amazon Web Services supplies Accenture's cloud-based computing. Not many companies have capabilities like this, Amazon capability. So what happens is Amazon can negotiate prices down if they want with Accenture, and they can bid for more opportunities and advantages from Accenture, because Accenture just doesn't have the luxury to say, no, I don't like your price, I'm going to a new supplier. They pretty much have to maintain that relationship with them. If we look at the power of buyers, it is also high. Potential clients have a large power due to the capital they manage. So for example, Apple, if they were looking and shopping for a consulting firm, the consulting firms would be extremely, happy overall, but extremely interested in procuring that contract, because the profits and revenue are going to be higher. There's going to be more of a project base that those higher end companies are bringing in. So clients do have a high power of buyers. And if you look at the threat of substitutes, it's pretty low. Client turnover rate is generally small for the industry, as most companies in the consulting firm are innovating each year and constantly giving their clients new ideas and strategies, so it's generally low. Competitor rivalry is very high, and if you look, I believe 2 slides ago, it was the McKinsey & Co., Deloitte, and IBM. Now, those companies are all very close to each other in terms of statistics, revenue, employees, what they offer. So generally, the firms have to compete very closely each time to procure a new client. Okay, let's go to the attractiveness of the IT consulting industry. As Rothermere states, the overall attractiveness can be set of the desire of the service. So if you look at the 3 results, history, and an external environment. Results: have they fixed the problem and given solutions to the clients? Accenture has done this year over year. If you can tell that their client turnover is not very high. So they are fixing the problems and the clients are overall happy with their work. History: do they have a track record in this space? Accenture has been around almost 100 years, and they do have the history and the expertise and employees to back this up. Now, external environment: does this company have a long history of ethics and integrity? Now, with the Create 360 value, you can see that they're not only caring about their work, but it's the ethics, integrity, and what they're putting out into the community. Next, we'll go to the internal environment of Accenture and the industry. Now, their mission statement is to deliver the promise of technology and human ingenuity. So they promise good and honest work, right? It's not just about the technology, but also the human capability of it. And if you move to the value statement, we deliver value and deliver on our values by embedding sustainability into everything we do for everyone we serve: our clients, people, shareholders, partners, and communities. If you read this, you get a sense that it's bigger than consulting. It's bigger than the profits, the revenues. These mission statements and value statements are something that Accenture prides themselves in. It's not just the profits. It's how do they treat their employees? How do they treat their clients? And this is something that when they take their clients, they want their clients' values to meet them. They don't want to work with a client that doesn't have ethics or integrity or care for the community. So I think that was important to note. If you look at their 5-year financials, their EPS grew 14% year over year since 2018. Their share price up over $120 in the past 5 years, as well as their shareholder return is up 105% in the past 5 years. Now, these three key statistics are not just ones that you can compare against the market, but there are other numbers that go into that. So total shareholder return is very important. As I said before, trying to innovate quicker and quicker these days in the industry is because of the shareholder return. Now, up 108% in the past 5 years is very impressive. However, the shareholders are also down 16% in the past year, and market is down 11%. So we will get to that in another slide. A strength of Accenture is the market share, history, client portfolio, results, and size. Now, they are just a huge company. Their strength is how they've performed, their history, their size. If you look at their weaknesses, it's the up and coming. So IBM has a rich history of technology. However, their consulting practice is newer. So they're going to have to take a look at how does IBM rise and could potentially beat them out for a client. An opportunity is the ESG issue. Again, their integrity and ethics, they can really market that more to the clients to make sure that their values are aligned. And a threat is just the lack of innovation. In this industry, if you're not innovating, you're not going to retain clients or even get new ones. I'd like to take a look at the related diversification. So for an example, Accenture has a technology practice. They added an AI sector off of their existing practice, which then they can bundle more services to clients, showing that their competitive advantage is through their related diversification. They can offer services that are very aligned with each other to their client. Okay. The international competitive advantage, I'd like to pose this example. So they operate in 120 countries, more than 200 cities. That map above is actually all of the countries that Accenture has acted in, which is almost the entire world. They built their international connections, and something of note is Accenture, before they made this international venture, when they, let's say a Pittsburgh company, Accenture was providing technology strategies to a Pittsburgh company. That Pittsburgh company also had 2 subsidiaries in Germany and Sweden. So when there was a push in the market and the industry to move more globally, they already had that experience with these other firms that were not in the United States. So they were able to expand much more easier. Okay, let's go to the recommendations I have for Accenture. First one is IBM is a threat. Their new consulting practice already has made $5 billion in revenue since 1992 when they started, and they make $60.5 billion overall in terms of an IBM company. They have 28% growth year over year. IBM has an existing market image that is strong. But one of the key things that Accenture is going to have to change is IBM can use their own software. So the example previously of Accenture buying Amazon Web Services to make their clients cloud computing, IBM already has that capability. So IBM doesn't have to hire an outside third party to then fulfill their supplier. I think they need to have a strategy ready to beat out clients moving forward, and I think they need to have a strategy beat out to run the cost analysis of, is it time to start our own cloud computing? That way we won't have to pay for a third party. And my second and final recommendation is the shareholder decline. Like I mentioned before, it is at 16%, while the market average is 11%. Now, while the return on investment is at 108% over the past 5 years, this year specifically, the shareholder decline is down 16. So when you look at that, I think there are 2 solutions. I think a stock split would work in Accenture's case. I would recommend this because their current stock price is upwards of $200. And as we know, disposable income is down, saving is down in the US since the COVID spike stopped. And people do not have as much money to pay and put into the market to save as they used to. So I think an Accenture stock split would bring the stock price down, making it more enticing for customers or consumers to go in and add money to the company, therefore rising that shareholder not up at 16. Let's try to get that over the 11% market average. Okay, and then the innovation implementation. In order for shareholders, if they don't do a stock split, to naturally come back is to innovate. Now, they've already put in the AI and cloud computing software through Accenture into their applicable everyday client strategies, but I think marketing that innovation and innovating more can just naturally and organically bring back shareholders to their public portfolio. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this, and that is my presentation on Accenture.